This morning is titled The Starfish Story, and it was written by Lauren Isley. Once upon a time, there was a wise man who used to go to the ocean to do his writing. He had a habit of walking on the beach before he began his work. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he looked down the beach and saw a human figure moving like a dancer. He smiled to himself as he thought of someone who would dance to the day, and so he walked faster to catch up to them. As he got closer, he noticed that the figure was that of a young man, and that what he was doing was not dancing at all. The young man was reaching down to the shore, picking up small objects and throwing them into the ocean. He came closer still and called out, "Good morning. May I ask what it is that you are doing?" The young man paused, looked up, and replied, "I'm throwing starfish into the ocean." The somewhat startled wise man then asked, "Well, why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" To this the young man replied, "The sun is up, the tide is going out. If I don't throw them in, they'll die." Upon hearing this, the wise man commented, "But young man, do you not realize that there are miles and miles of beach, and there are thousands of starfish all along every mile? You can't possibly make a difference." At this, the young man bent down, picked up yet another starfish, and threw it into the ocean. As it met the water, he said, "It made a difference to that one." Our prayer today is from a publication that I read every day, and it's called The Daily Word. And this was from August 13th of this year. So please center yourself in whatever way feels comfortable for you as we enter into a short time of prayer and meditation. Infinite Spirit, ground of all being, to that which each of us deems holy and worthy of worship. Each new day, the sun rises on a world full of wonders. From the magnificence of the natural world to the many fascinating things there are to learn and the many displays of creativity that surround us. We can find so much to capture our interest and kindle our excitement. But when we shrink from life, when our interest in exploration wanes, we can lose our zeal and our passion. Our involvement here is the key. To regain our excitement, we must become active participants in life. We break out of comfortable habits and routines. We try new things and meet new people. If this is intimidating, we remind ourselves the universe is everywhere and in everyone. As we explore, we are opening ourselves to more and more of the universe. As our interest grows, an amazing world awaits us.
Well,
And namaste. I love to visit my sister in her Louisiana home. Her youngest granddaughter is often there, and she loves to play, often with other kids and any willing adult. But it's really fascinating to watch her play all by herself. She's very imaginative, and she creates her own complex worlds revolving around that creative imagination. When she plays, she uses all of her available resources, especially her toys, but also pillows, chairs, whatever is available to create the scenarios she imagines. And those scenarios include schools, hospitals, families, kitchens, and countless other situations. She might dress herself or her babies, or teach them, or heal them, or cook their meals. She's often actually recreating what she's seen in her own real life, and she's lucky because she's had a very happy life. So she mostly creates happy situations where she's helping others around her. And it's really wonderful to see where her curious mind takes her, and also the creative situations she comes up with. But also, like real life, she creates a mess. Generally, the area where she's playing devolves into chaos. Real life, the ongoing creation all around us, is also chaotic and messy, whether we like it or not. Observing her play has provided me a wonderful opportunity to reflect on many aspects of life and the ongoing acts of creation we are all witnessing and have opportunities to participate in. Yes, we are all witnesses to creation with these miraculous lives that we have been given. I believe we must actively encourage the creative energies in children, but not just children. We must all be active participants in life so that we can better experience the almost limitless possibilities life affords each of us. But we must also learn to clean up the messes we make, and we must help clean up other messes we find ourselves or others in, often through no fault of our own. We must do this so that others who follow us will have similar opportunities to experience this miraculous creation we call life. I'm also fascinated by some of the amazing discoveries that have come out of other curious minds. I have two particular discoveries in mind, and they relate to this amazing interdependent web we are all a part of. I've often heard the claim that we are made of stars. Many of the creation stories, like the ones in the Bible, hardly even mention the stars, when in fact they were absolutely essential to life on earth, and they are a part of the chaos from which we all came. Without that chaos, our specific life forms would never have been possible. A NASA publication says, and I quote, "Even though there are billions of people on Earth, we all share a common heritage. We are all made of stardust. From the carbon in our DNA to the calcium in our bones, nearly all of the elements in our bodies were forged in the fiery hearts and death throes of stars billions of years ago. The building blocks for humans and even our planet wouldn't exist if it weren't for those ancient stars. If we could rewind the universe back almost to the very beginning, we would see mostly hydrogen and helium. The first generation of stars formed from them. There's so much heat and pressure in a star's core that they fuse atoms together, forming new elements. Our DNA is made up of those new elements, including carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. All those elements are made by stars and released into the cosmos when the stars die. And supernova explosions create such intense conditions that even more elements are formed. The oxygen we breathe and essential minerals like magnesium and potassium are flung into space by these supernovas. This kind of explosion also creates calcium, the mineral we need most in our bodies, and trace minerals that we only need a little of, like zinc and manganese. Supernova explosions also produce iron, which is found in our blood and also makes up the bulk of our planet's mass. This NASA article reminds us that these amazing discoveries didn't just happen. They happened because curious minds investigated our universe. Through observation, measurement, and brilliant thinking, scientists were able to determine how these elements were created. So one way we witness creation is simply through the results of curious minds. Yes, we often hear we are made of stars, but there are other forces in the universe. And there is one other force I want to briefly mention. It's seldom discussed, at least it isn't in non-scientific circles, but as an engineer, it was included in many of my engineering classes, and it's called entropy. My great niece actually demonstrates entropy every time she plays. And entropy addresses the reality that all things, all of life, moves toward disorder, or what we might call chaos. In another article about entropy, the author says, as you read this article, the results of entropy are all around you. Cells within your body are dying and degrading. An employee or coworker is making a mistake. The floor is getting dusty. The windows you just cleaned are getting dirty again. Your joints are aging. Your arteries are clogging. And the heat from your coffee is spreading out. Zoom out a little further, and businesses are failing. Crimes and revolutions are occurring, and relationships are ending. Zoom out even further, and we see the entire universe marching towards a collapse. These are the realities of entropy. And entropy is one of the few concepts that provides evidence for the existence of time. The arrow of time is a name given to the idea that time flows in only one direction, forward. It is the non-reversible process wherein entropy always increases. The arrow of time dictates that as each moment passes, things change. And once these changes have happened, they are never undone. Permanent change is a fundamental part of what it means to be human. We all age as the years pass by. People are born, they live, and they die. Even in the life of the universe, just as in our lives, everything, yes, everything, is irreversibly and permanently changing. These too aren't just random thoughts. Entropy is a well-conceived and firmly established reality discovered by the curious minds of scientists who attempt to understand realities all around us, including constant change. We aren't only witnesses to creation, we are witnesses to the many changes in creation that will ultimately result in its demise. But even so, somehow, coming out of the chaotic explosions of stars billions of years ago, and using the products of those explosions, and in what seems to be completely in opposition to the laws of entropy, somehow molecules came together and became animated. And we call those animated molecules life. Despite all of our advances in science, we still have absolutely no idea what actually animates molecules and changes them from basic chemicals into the many life forms all around us. And given the thousands of life forms here on Earth, only a very few of them are conscious and can appreciate the actual experience of life as part of a much larger universe. We also witnessed this amazing creation for a very brief period of time, at least as measured against the almost unimaginable age of the universe. So, given these facts and the facts that change is inevitable, what are we doing with all the knowledge we accumulate through our own curiosity or that of others? In my opinion, we can either actively take care of ourselves, postponing the inevitable, or we can ignore those realities. This is our choice to make. But it's only one of many choices we must make, not once, but for our entire lives. I believe we must take care of ourselves in order to better experience life, but we must also take care of others and all of the living beings around us. They certainly deserve the same opportunities to participate in life that we enjoy. But we must also take care of the world, the only world we have in which to experience all the awesome adventures this life offers. Our lives are about the choices each of us makes and how we choose to participate in the creation all around us. Some of it comes natural and is easy, and some of it isn't easy at all. One of our first priorities must be to take care of ourselves, and we have to do this for ourselves because no one will do it for us. We must get enough nutrition, exercise, and rest so that our bodies function properly. And that's not always possible when we neglect something like our nutrition. I've already said that our bodies are built out of the products of chaotic explosions from billions of years ago. Another term for many of those products that you hear almost every day is the medical word electrolytes. During times of illness, we might hear that someone's electrolytes are out of balance. These electrolytes include calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and other elements. When they are out of balance, you may be confused, exhausted, or even nauseous. Our bodies simply won't function properly without the proper amount of each of them, and our bodies begin to fail. So taking care of ourselves, our bodies, our very lives, is not a one-time activity. It's ongoing forever. At least it is while we are alive. So out of someone's curiosity and through their shared discoveries, we now know where elements not only come from, but how they are essential to our bodies. And we can use that information to live a little longer. Thankfully, many of our natural instincts actually urge each of us to live. And that includes the urges to procreate and nurture our young. A mother's natural instinct to protect and care for her offspring is indeed a powerful force of nature. And nurturing our children, beings other than ourselves, was probably the first step toward taking care of others, not just ourselves or our offspring. In the majority of the animal kingdom, when a member of the herd or the pack is injured or is old, the other animals simply leave the injured or dying one behind. There's seldom anything the other animals can do to assist in prolonging the life of the injured or old individual. And the injured one can even become a threat to the rest of the pack's survival. We, however, can choose to help someone other than ourselves, someone in our community, or even in another community, to survive during difficult times. A story attributed to Margaret Mead, the famous anthropologist, says that she was once asked what was the first evidence of civilization among human beings. She was the discovery of a previously healed bone in a leg. The reason being is with that severe of a break, which could have immobilized and made the individual dependent for weeks, others in the tribe had to consciously choose to take care of that individual during the recovery. That help was surely a burden on the others, who were also probably struggling to survive as well, but they helped anyway. It was a choice they made. Today, you might come close to that same situation if you personally have to take care constantly of someone and meet all of their needs of a bedridden patient for an extended period of time. Several years ago, Randy and I stayed with my father in his extended care facility. He was in the last stages of his life, and we helped feed him when he was able to eat and drink. But trained nurses' aides came in several times every day and lovingly and carefully took care of his other bodily needs, something we never had to actually do. And this all took place during the blizzard of 2021. And Randy and I were trapped in his facility with him due to impossible conditions outside. Even so, food and bodily care were readily available to him and to us, along with heating and protection from the extreme weather outside. I will always be extremely grateful for the loving care those nurses' aides gave and the shelter the facility provided. Without that support and the food and warmth, Randy and I would likely have survived, but my dad couldn't have. We generally take all of these resources for granted, but early humans with broken bones didn't. And that one individual in Mead's story was extremely fortunate that he or she was taken care of by others and lived a long time after that bone healed. Every day, we are confronted with similar situations to help or assist other individuals in need of help, although usually under far less dire circumstances. Many people ignore them and assume someone else will help them, or they don't care whether they get help or not. In fact, we are all more likely to help someone in our own family or community than we are someone unknown to us. That was exactly the point Jesus was making when he told the story of the Good Samaritan. Almost everyone passed by the injured man, both the religious people and the people from his own community. They ignored him while he laid there on the side of the road. They were too preoccupied to stop, or they just didn't care. But a foreigner, a Samaritan, someone reviled by Jews at that time, stopped and actually helped the injured man live. We're often confronted with similar situations today. Like it or not, the choice to help or not is yours to make every day in both simple and big ways. Will you stop what you're doing for just a short time and help another individual so that they can better experience this amazing creation all around us? Or will you ignore them and let them continue to suffer? The choice is yours. But the choices we make about caring for the broader world, not only ourselves or others around us, may be the most difficult choices of all. When we make choices for ourselves or others, the results are often evident. Maybe not immediately, but soon. But when we demonstrate our care for our world, there may be no visible changes, at least none we can see. And we often want to see the results of our efforts, or we're not willing to make them. But in this case, we must choose to continue doing something without seeing any actual results. Using less plastic or taking steps to minimize our carbon footprints, or refraining from using chemicals that make our lives easier but are also harmful to the environment, are all positive efforts, and yet those efforts feel useless in the face of so much ongoing harm caused by each of them. I believe we must act like the child in our Time for All this morning, who helped the starfish on the beach. We must help the planet, and every little bit that we do makes a difference. The positive actions of each of us, no matter that they seem insignificant, those actions still matter a great deal. Ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus told us exactly what we need to do. And he said, caretake this moment. Immerse yourself in its particulars. Respond to this person, this challenge, this deed. Quit the evasions. It's time to really live, to fully inhabit the situation you happen to be in now. You are not some disinterested. Participate, exert yourself, respect your partnership with the universe. Ask yourself often, how may I perform this particular deed such that it would be consistent with and acceptable to the universe? Heed your answer and get to work. In conclusion, as you witness the glorious creation within you and all around you, be curious like a child and use what you learn to help yourself, others, and the whole world around you. Amen and namaste.